I'm so delighted that my dear friend from of many decades, Kavita Ramdas, agreed at very short notice to join us, take out time from her busy schedule on a Sunday morning in New York, where she's based. Kavita is one of the most dynamic and powerful women that you will ever meet. And her parents, Lalita and Ramu Ramdas, I take the liberty of calling them Loli and Ramu. This is not Kavita's shanakht, this is not her identity, but I'm just saying this, that you're not here because of your parents, Kavita, but because I do want to take
I'm very much here because of my parents. I wouldn't exist without them.
This is true. You are here because of your parents. That is true. That is very true. But just to say that you are not invited to speak here because of your parents, and who are both part of our founding members for Sapan, for Southasia Peace Action Network. And I take the liberty to call them Loli and Ramu because I met them at the anti-nuclear demonstrations in Japan many years ago after our countries did the nuclear tests. And Kavita, I'm not going to go into there's just I asked her for a brief bio, she sent me 6 pages. So it's like two incredibly long bio. And she does incredible work with philanthropy, with women's rights. She's a graduate of Mount Holyoke College, where my sister went and where my dear friend Seema went, who also is a close friend. So Kavita, without any further ado, I'm going to ask you to present your closing remarks for this section. And also because, just coincidentally, I think we would have asked you to speak anyway, but it just so happens that you have this cross-border, cross-religious marriage yourself. And I just want to say that, there's a precedent there from very long ago. We had the founder of Pakistan married a Parsi, Rati Patit. But anyway, Kavita, over to you, and we look forward to your closing remarks for this really fantastic discussion. It's gone on for a little bit longer than we would have wanted, but we'll just straight over to you, Kavita. Thank you.
Salam, namaste, everybody, and thank you so much. I feel like I learned so much in this very rich conversation. Ekta, you did an amazing job trying to manage this, and just the level of, I think, sometimes you can feel very overwhelmed by all the disheartening news. But I think what was wonderful for me about this conversation was hearing from people like Jagmati ji, like Iqbal Bhai, like Melinda in Sri Lanka, like Natasha and others and Khushi ji from Bangladesh, that, even though there are these huge obstacles, both from state and society. Melinda, thank you so much for clarifying that. I thought that was such an important thing for us to understand, that sometimes we as individuals and as the communities that we are part of can create the biggest challenges. And our colleague from Nepal, Sharma ji, she also shared with us that, community is a mixed thing, right? We need communities. We don't exist just as individuals, but communities are often the places that put the greatest pressures on individuals to adapt and conform to community values. So then the state can sometimes be a place, which is why the Special Marriage Act is used in so many instances by couples when their communities are not actually willing to stand by them. And in fact, their communities are actually harmful to them. So what I very much enjoyed about this conversation was an understanding of the multiple ways in which our realities are complicated, but also by the recognition that so many people are doing things to try and make a difference. Vincent, your story was really heartbreaking, heartrending, but not the only one that I've heard in my many years as an activist for women's rights. I think throughout this whole discussion, the strands that I saw included patriarchy very deeply interwoven with all of this, because even on the issue of LGBTQ activism, partly LGBTQ activism has also sought state protection because communities have been so harsh. And yet, in another way, you could argue that there has always been an interesting space carved out for third gender and non-gender conforming patterns within South Asia that was actually just quietly accepted by community. Community kind of adjusted, as we say in South Asia. So for all these reasons, this was a rich and valuable conversation. I learned a lot from it. I also want to go back now and look up the Special Marriage Act and understand how it came out of this British law. So much for us to learn there. And then lastly, just to say, as an Indian, someone of Indian origin who came to the US with an Indian passport, married a Pakistani, Iqbal Ahmed's nephew, Zulfikar Ahmed, and actually, the two of us had this wonderful opportunity to live together in Delhi, which is very rare for a Pakistani and an Indian to be able to have this opportunity for a brief moment under UPA laws. I think I would say that my sense of both what Sapan is trying to do, as crazily impossible as it feels to live in a South Asia that would be visa-free, I think we have to have crazy, impossible dreams, because without them, we never get to change our reality. And I certainly hope that for my daughter, who is now struggling, as Natasha described, to see if maybe she could apply for an OCI card. My husband, of course, can never apply, being Pakistani. Maybe our next generation will have some better opportunities because of the work that people like yourselves and so many others are doing. So, salam, namaste to us all. May we take these messages of love and poetry and possibility to heart. And a huge thanks to Bina and all of you in Sapan for keeping this kind of dream alive. I think it's very important to keep dreams alive. Shukriya.
Thank you so much, Kavita, for those very succinct and poignant remarks. I wish we could have had Zuli also online to say hello. Haven't seen him for many years. And I think it's really hard that he cannot get a visa to go to India to visit your parents. It's really, really hard. I think we really need to. So the petition that Ekta talked about is online at www.change.org/milnedo, MILNEDO, which we need to spread. I don't know. We need to basically reach the policy makers somehow, which we are somehow not managing to do because they really don't want to hear us. I mean, but that doesn't mean we won't keep speaking. We will keep speaking. We will keep bringing it out.